plants and all that kind of farming chat. And then the next meeting, 2 people showed up, and then the third meeting, 1 person showed up and wanted to know where the beer and appetizers were, and that was it. So it's a farmer's thing. I don't know if it's just Colorado or if it's all over America, but there's not a lot of information that gets shared amongst farmers, and I was always flabbergasted by it, and I still am. I really don't understand why we don't talk to each other.
My guest is author Finn Murphy. We're talking about his new memoir. It's called Rocky Mountain High, a tale of boom and bust in the new Wild West. We'll come back to the conversation in just a couple of minutes.
Fresh Air, Laura Dern talks about growing up in the movie world. Her parents are actors Diane Ladd and Bruce Dern. And she'll talk about becoming an actress herself, starring in Blue Velvet, Jurassic Park, Enlightened, Big Little Lies, winning an Oscar for Marriage Story. Her new book is a series of conversations with her mother. Join us tonight at 7, 90.1 KERA News. Here, inviting you to join me on your drive home during All Things Considered. Listen for the day's top stories and thought-provoking discussions weekday afternoons starting at 3 on 90.1 KERA News and the KERA app.
Support for KERA News comes from the Goddard School, Cognitive accredited with a focus on education and early childhood development, providing infant care and private kindergarten for children 6 weeks to 6 years old. More information about enrollment at goddardschool.com. Stage West Theater, presenting I Want to Tear You Apart, an ode to the complications of being a bestie. Metro Weekly calls it an edgy, funny, foul-mouthed tale of friendship. Now through July 9th. Tickets at stagewest.org. Support for KERA News comes from the AT&T Performing Arts Center, presenting Sarah Brightman, A Christmas Symphony, at the Winspear Opera House on Monday, December 18th at 7:30 p.m. You can create a new holiday tradition with soprano Sarah Brightman as she brings her holiday tour to Dallas with orchestra, choir, and guests. Tickets for Sarah Brightman, A Christmas Symphony are available now at attpac.org.
From Grand Prairie to Grapevine to Denton,
Bringing you the latest news updates from across our region.
NPR in North Texas.
90.1 KERA News and KERAnews.org. You're listening to Think. I'm Chris Boyd. We're talking this hour about adventures in growing hemp, which was newly legalized at the federal level in 2018. My guest is author Finn Murphy, whose new book about this is called Rocky Mountain High, a tale of boom and bust in the new Wild West. Finn, you mentioned that hemp had been outlawed between 1937 and 2018. This is a similar plant, but not the same biologically as marijuana. George Washington famously grew hemp on his plantation. Why is it that it was outlawed?
Well, there are 2 different reasons. One of them had to do with the psychoactive THC, which got people high. Although marijuana use back in the 1930s wasn't very much of it, and it was limited to a lot of the immigrant communities from south of the border who brought hemp with them. Hemp came to North America actually from the plantation system in the Caribbean, because hemp actually comes from Asia. And they used it they give it to the plantation workers to keep them docile and friendly and wouldn't have slave revolts and things like that. So that's where cannabis actually came to North America, and then it came up into the United States from there. But it wasn't a lot of usage, but that was at the same time that they took cocaine out of Coca-Cola trucks started. You used to be able to get, laudanum or type of opium, at a pharmacy. That whole thing shut down, and hemp got shut down at the same time. The thing about hemp is the U.S. cotton industry didn't like hemp at all because it was a competing product and it was easier to grow than cotton, and it was better for the soil than cotton. So the cotton industry joined with the federal government and the Hearst newspaper chain to create this basically reefer madness stuff, and that's when hemp became illegal in the United States. But before that, hemp was grown everywhere. In fact, the name cannabis comes from the French word chanavez, which is canvas, and all the sails of the ships in the 19th century were all made out of hemp. All the rope was made out of hemp. We mentioned George Washington and Mount Vernon. That was almost the only crop that he grew was hemp. So hemp was a mainstay in the agricultural world until 1937, and then it just disappeared.
Okay, so you're all excited about planting your acreage. You learned that the seeds would cost you like $240,000. But before you could start, you were told you absolutely had to have a hemp registration license. Like if you put seed in the ground without it, you would be, invaded by the DEA. So what's involved in getting that license?
Yes, so the Colorado Department of Agriculture, and as I mentioned earlier, the whole idea of legalizing hemp nationwide was to provide some alleviation of small farmers and the plights of small farmers to be able to grow a crop that they could actually keep the farm and make some money with. So set that aside for a minute. But the Colorado Department of Agriculture and everybody else was very aware of the marijuana side of this hemp thing. And most people, certainly small farmers in Colorado, of which a lot of them older, they didn't like hemp. They didn't like to hear about hemp. They thought it was connected to marijuana. So it was very important for the Colorado Department of Agriculture to keep hemp cultivation separate from the marijuana side. And therefore you had to have a hemp registration license to grow hemp, and you had to fill out a 9-page form, and you had to put the coordinates down of your property and where you were going to grow hemp and what kind of hemp you were going to grow and what seeds you were going to use, and all that stuff. So yeah, one hemp seed costs $1. So you have 1,500 hemp plants on 10 acres, 15,000 hemp plants. That's $15,000 just in seed. But you could buy a trainload of seed for corn for $15,000. So that gives you an idea of some of the expenses that went. So what happened is 2,554 farmers wanted to get a hemp registration. So the Colorado Department of Agriculture was completely overwhelmed. They had no idea that this was going to happen. So everybody poured into it. So we all had to wait for our hemp registration. Because if you did grow hemp without a license, then they would consider that felony drug cultivation. And then you would be in all kinds of trouble. So that's why we had to do the registration. And I didn't get my registration in time because they were backlogged. And we have a very short growing season here. So that's when I started looking into other places inside the hemp space where I could participate in the new boom and have some fun and make some money.
Right, so you thought, I'll volunteer for some other people who were doing this, learn more about the business, and it seems like the more you learned, the more complicated you realized this might be. For example,